Thank you, Trevor, for that wonderful introduction. Mr. Vice President, members of the Executive Committee, members of the Legislative Assembly, distinguished colleagues, guests, and friends. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been my significant pleasure to have the privilege of serving throughout 2018 as your president. And I thank you. This has been a very significant time in my life. And during this momentous occasion, there are three things I know for sure. First, it could not have been possible without the undying support of my lovely wife, Risa Jackson. Nor could it have been possible without the undying support of my two children, Niles and Nia Jackson. The second thing about which I am certain is that the national office has been a tremendous support for this association. They do work day in and day out tirelessly to promote this association among our peers throughout Washington, D.C. and beyond. And I'm honored that we have such a diligent staff. And so I ask that anyone who is a member of the national office staff please stand to the mic of applause. The third thing that I must say that is humbling is that I stand on the shoulders of my predecessors. Individuals that worked so hard to pave the way for me to stand here today. Those are individuals such as Orlando L. Taylor, Jack L. Daniel, Judy Trent, Deborah Atwater, Melbourne Cummings, Maliki Kete Asante, Dorothy Pennington, Carolyn Galloway Thomas, Terry Nance, and many, many others. Those individuals and many more have helped to mentor me throughout the years, and without them, I'm not sure where I would be, but I certainly wouldn't be the professional and scholar that I am, and I appreciate that. There are lots of exciting things to talk about tonight. I'm reminded of Helen Keller, who once stated that worse than being blind is being able to see but having no vision. We began this year with a vision. And the vision that we had this year was built around last year's convention theme that focused on our legacy and our relevance. We started the year thinking about how do we build toward more inclusiveness and how do we do that in a way that allows us to sustain it. And so just a couple of days ago, we voted on this idea of putting an inclusion statement in our mission. Our executive director, Trevor Farrow-Giles, said, I thought it was already there. We all know how important it is to have that as part of our foundation, part of our core principles. In the last 12 months, we established the Legacy Scholarship. Last year was the first year we gave it out during President Hartnett's administration, and this year we're continuing that. We just selected our winner this year, Anna Tippett from Utah Valley University. We'll be giving her an award later. But that's so exciting that we can show up to a convention host city and leave a mark. That people knew we were there, that we've made it better than it was before we arrived. That's part of our legacy that we're leaving. The Legacy Scholarship is part of vision for this year. But also for this year, part of the vision was figuring out how do we come together as an executive leadership to think about what we must do to advance the association. So during February's retreat, the executive leadership comprised of members of the Research Council, the Publications Council, the Teaching and Learning Council, and the Finance Committee, along with our elected officers, came together to create a visioning exercise, and out of that came a video series, an animated video series that will include communication concepts that will be used not just in the classrooms, not just at conventions, but also in the different boardrooms, the different spaces that we occupy throughout our communities. I remember just this past year, I used a video from Brene Brown, a psychologist who has a video on empathy. And I'm going to tell you, that video has been transformative. In my church, which is considered a mega church with 20,000 members, they showed that video during a racial reconciliation seminars. And I used it for my own consulting practice, even in my classrooms. I thought, why not have that for the National Communication Association? And so we'll be launching that series very soon. It's very exciting. And just 3 days ago, the executive committee made a commitment to launch a pilot, a 2-year pilot for a new NCA Center for Communication, Community Collaboration, and Change. That is transformative. It's transformative because there is no science peer association. There is no peer association in the social sciences. There is not one in the humanities that has a center. We are not just studying trends, we're now setting them. And so, I'm always inspired by what we do when we come together as a collective. The late great poet Maya Angelou said that a bird does not sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. We have a song. We have a story to tell. We have a narrative, a set of narratives that may not be complete or perfect, but ones that represent who we are. One of my favorite cultural theorists, Stuart Hall, stated that identities are the names we give to the positions and the ways we are positioned by the narratives of the past. I think we have to think about where we go next. How do we imagine ourselves thinking about our own future? Why are we even thinking about our history in the first place, you might wonder? Well, we're thinking about our history because, as Stuart Hall says, our identity is staked on who we are, is staked on what we do now, even in this very moment. But there's a politics to remembering. If you read the 100th anniversary issue of Spectra, you read an article by Brian Ott and Greg Dickinson. And in that article, they talked about there being a politics of remembering, that all memories are incomplete, that we have an inability to have unmediated memories. So today, I want to take us on a journey of unmediated memories. Ones that may be political, but are ones that are important in terms of our journey. And I want to take you on this journey to what I'm calling the NCA Heritage Trail. Last year I was here, final day of the convention. It was on a Sunday, and I remember being inspired by a paper that was co-authored by 2 individuals, Stephen King and Andrew Gachet. And these 2 individuals talked about the Mississippi Freedom Trail, and I thought, this is interesting. I wonder what would happen if NCA had its own trail. It had its own historical markers like the National Park Services. I wonder what those markers would say. I wonder who would be the heroes. I wonder if there's monuments that might be defaced. I wonder if there's ones that would be erected. I wonder what we would do if we had our own historical markers. So today, in a very brief form, because after all, I only have about 20 minutes, I'm going to provide you with 5 historical moments that I call watershed moments in our history, and they will be each on our own historical markers along the NCA Heritage Trail. Let's begin our order. First, we go to the beginnings of the National Communication Association. The National Communication Association was founded in 1914. There were 113 individuals who were members of the National Council of Teachers of English. These individuals were speech teachers, and they voted to secede from NCTE to establish their own independent organization. The vote was narrow, 57 to 56. They decided with this narrow vote, we ought to think about it a little bit, and as the 100th anniversary edition of Spectra indicated, well, it was an unseasonably warm day. So perhaps some people decided to enjoy the rays. So when they met later on, out of those individuals that were there earlier, only 34 convened. Those 34 individuals that convened voted once again, and by a very narrow margin, 18 to 16, they voted to establish an organization that became known as the National Association of Academic Teachers of Public Speaking. Now, of course, we build that as our own NCA. It's very exciting, but these individuals had a vision. They had a vision, they were willing to fulfill, and they understood there was a voice that they had to offer, and they wanted to make sure that voice was heard. That is our first step along the way of the NCA Heritage Trail. These are the founders of our association. There are 11 featured here. There's 6 that we don't have in our archives, but you can see the individuals that are there. They represented 13 different institutions, and they were a stalwart group of individuals. The next step on our Freedom Trail, or what I should say, I call the Heritage Trail, I think of it as freedom, is the first woman president of the National Communication Association. This is an individual by the name of Henrietta Prentice. Henrietta Prentice was an interesting individual who was a person who was a scholar and believed in the ability of our discipline to transcend its own boundaries. A scholar, was a teacher of speech at Hunter College. 1932, she was elected unanimously by the leadership. And what might be fascinating to you, in case you're curious about where women first entered into our leadership, actually it was 1916 when Mary Yost was appointed as one of 3 vice presidents of this association. So just 2 years after having established this organization, there was already women's voice in the leadership of this association. But now, here we are, 1932. Took them a little while, but we got there. First woman president of the National Communication Association, and then 4 years later, Maud Babcock took over, and she was elected to be the second woman. And each decade, from the 1930s to the 40s, to the 50s and 60s, there was one woman elected. In 1971, the Women's Caucus was established. There had already been 6 women presidents of this association. But it wasn't enough, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Our next stop along the Heritage Trail is our first Black president of the National Communication Association, Orlando L. Taylor. Unfortunately, he had a bad cold and couldn't be here tonight, but he sends his regards, and he has told me that he's more energetic than ever about the future of this association. Well, let's talk a little bit about Orlando L. Taylor. This was an individual who was dean of the graduate school at Howard University, professor of communication sciences and disorders, very well known in that area for aphasia, which is basically what happens at the moment that individuals experience hearing loss because of trauma. He's a major scholar who came to us with tremendous credentials. He came at an interesting time. In 1997, a couple of years earlier, he had the leadership of individuals like Jim Chesborough and Judy Trent, who helped guide us into membership into the American Council on Learned Societies. We learned something from that membership. What we learned was that they were asking questions like, do you all do science? Aren't you just speech teachers? You can't be a member of our association unless you do research. And they took that as a direct message to say we need to think about how we identify ourselves to the broader public. And so as a result, there was a discussion. It was a heated discussion because individuals who belonged to the speech profession and had grown up in it thought, you're going to try to exclude me now, even though I'm an individual who typically just teaches speech. But we understood there was a scope that needed to be explored beyond just speech, and we wanted to represent that scope that was already present in our field. And so, we moved from the SCA to the NCA. So by the time we got to Orlando Taylor in 1999, the biggest thing on this agenda at that moment, besides trying to transition us into this new space, was moving us from Annandale, Virginia to Washington, D.C. It gave us a place right next to our national peer associations. It gave us a place in Washington, D.C., where we could advocate directly on the Hill, where we could go to the National Institutes of Health and think about how communication can be added to the RFPs for major grants. He was part of that foundation, and we salute first Black president of the National Communication Association.